Okay, we're going to go ahead and start the meeting. Welcome to the City Plan and Zoning Commission meeting for August 17th, 2023. I'll go ahead and read the rules and procedures. The Plan and Zoning Commission is generally an advisory body to the City Council. The City Council will hold a public hearing and make the final decision on all matters before the Commission other than site plans and subdivision plats, unless denials or conditional approvals thereof are appealed. Please contact the City Clerk or Development Services Department staff for details on council hearings. Applicant will be given 10 minutes to present the request. Proponents and then opponents from the public are then allowed to speak in that order, with each speaker allowed a maximum of 5 minutes. Applicant is then allowed 5 minutes for a rebuttal. The hearing will then be closed and the Commission will discuss and vote on the issue. All comments are to be germane to the item under consideration, and speakers are to maintain a courteous manner. Items listed on the consent portion of the agenda will not be individually discussed and will be considered for approval in accordance with the recommendation in the staff report unless an individual present or member of the Commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately under the public hearing agenda. Before we begin, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the August 3rd Plan and Zoning Commission, please?
This is Carolyn, so moved.
Thank you. All those in favor, raise your right hand. I think that was everyone, right? Okay. Okay, I will now move on to the consent items of the agenda, which is all three. All three items are on consent agenda this evening. Item number 1, a request from John Jelinek for review and approval of a public hearing site plan for Type 2 design alternative for property located at 3851 Beaver Avenue to allow construction of a 325 square foot detached garage, which is within 2 feet of the south side property line and 2.5 feet of the east rear property line, where a minimum 5 foot setback is required. Is there anyone in the audience tonight who would like to hear item 1 in a public hearing? Okay. Are you
not quite sure what to do here, but this is the owner.
okay?
So,
Are you in opposition to any recommendations?
no, I'm very much in favor for allowing that to happen.
Okay, so I guess I would recommend leaving it on the consent agenda.
Yeah, as long as you agree to whatever we put in the staff recommendation, which I think we're on the same page, consent be good, because they're just going to vote on it and prove it, basically, in short.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Is there any commissioner who would like to hear this item on public hearing tonight? Okay, seeing none, item number 1 will remain on the consent agenda. Item number 2 is a request from Pridecraft Custom Homes for review and approval of 3 public hearing site plans for Type 2 design alternatives in accordance, for 3 lots located in the vicinity of 348 East Pleasant View Drive to allow construction of a house Type B on each lot and to allow an attached garage where the overhead door comprises 45.7% of the front facade width, where only 30% of the front facade width is allowed. Is there anyone in the audience tonight who would like to hear this item on public hearing? Yes? Are you in opposition or? Yes. Okay. Item number 2 is removed from the consent agenda and will be heard on the public hearing tonight. Item number 3 is a request from WH2 Ltd. for the following regarding property located at 5631 Francis Avenue. Determination as to whether the requested rezoning is in conformance with Plan DSM, to amend Plan DSM to revise the future land use classification from low-density residential to medium-density residential, and to rezone the property from N3B Neighborhood District to NX2 Neighborhood Mixed District to allow a parking lot expansion for an existing group living, assisted living facility use. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to have this item heard on public hearing tonight? Okay. Seeing none, is there a commissioner tonight who would like to have this item removed and put onto public hearing? Okay, seeing none, item number 3 will remain on the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is items number 1 and 3?
I'll move.
Thank you, Emily. All those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Motion carries.
Okay. For item number 2, we will hear from Shri Oshi from staff.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Commission, Sriyoshi Chakraborty, planning staff. And I'm going to present item number 2. This is a residential site plan requesting type 2 design alternative for 3 separate lots. And the request specifically is for each of the 3 lots, and that is to allow an attached garage where the overhead door comprises 45.7% of the front facade, where the maximum that's allowed is 30%. So that's the waiver request, and I'll talk about the subject area. So the 3 lots in question are on East Pleasant View Drive. This is slightly east of Indianola Avenue, north of Park Avenue, just to get you familiarized generally where this is situated. These are 3 vacant lots, and the proposal is to build a house on each of these three lots. They're very similar in design, however, there is some variation in the design in terms of the material and the roof and so on. So it makes it a little bit distinct. So they're not exactly similar to each other, but they are fairly similar in design. These are some pictures of the existing site. As you can see, it's currently vacant, undeveloped. There's a bit of a grade going down there from the street. A few more pictures. And then we have some floor plans and elevations just to give you an idea of how the houses are laid out. So here's the first one. There's the floor plan, the elevations, and some information on the foundation. And here's the site plan. This is the second one. Again, you can see it's similar. It's there's 2-car garage facing the front facade here, so that's similar. However, there's some variation in the design and material. Again, we have the floor plans and the elevations, foundation, site plan. And I can come back to any of these later if you have questions on any specific ones. So I'll just go through these quickly. So in reviewing this, staff looks at a few different criteria to review the waiver request to see if the waiver, granting the waiver would have any detrimental effect to the character of the area, if it fits with the rest of the neighborhood and the existing houses and so on. So staff believes that the properties generally in the vicinity and the houses in this neighborhood have some variation in terms of what's there with the facade design and so on. So because of that variation, staff believes that what has been proposed in the waiver is appropriate, so long as there's some windows on the garage door. And as you can see, if I go back to one of the drawings here, you can see that the applicant has shown windows on the garage door. I believe the intention is to provide the windows, so that will help with some of that, breaking up the blank facade, if you will, the frontage, on the frontage. So that is what staff is recommending, that staff is comfortable with the waiver request, so long as the applicant does provide the windows on the overhead garage doors. We did not receive any responses from the neighbors, so that's the consent map. And that's the end of my presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from commissioners for staff?
I have a quick one. Could you show the neighborhood again, please? One of the maps, one of the first ones that you showed, I think it was an aerial view. Yeah, could you give us an idea where the setback of these houses are in relation to the rest on the street, please?
The code requires that, you need to go to the site plans sheets, but while you do that, the code actually requires an averaging, so they're going to be based off of what's around them.
Well, that's the question, the reason I asked the question, because it seems to be a real mix.
It looks like that the calculation ended up dropping, or being 25 feet essentially. The code, you basically go 3 lots in either direction and you average that out, if my recollection is correct. So it's not like the entire block face, it's just what's kind of immediately around it to the sides.
Could you estimate that then on the aerial for me, please?
While you do that, I'll look at, I have GIS open. Let me do a little measuring here.
So I think if you look at those 3 on either side, you get a rough idea of where
So
they'd
the
be
one,
set back.
yeah, the one to the left, as you looked at the screen, that's 25, 26 feet. So pretty close to what you see right there.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to point out, looking south of East Pleasant View Drive, there's a little bit more variation in the front setback, but it looks a little bit more uniform on the north.
Any more questions from commissioners for staff? Okay, thank you, Shreyoshi. Is the applicant here? You have 10 minutes to present. If you can state your name and address.
Jason Duran with Pridecraft Custom Homes. My address is 1004 Northeast 19th Street in Grimes. So on this plan here, basically I build multiple houses a year on infill lots in the city of Des Moines. I am familiar with, the 30% rule on the garages. I have built a couple houses with a one-car garage that fits in with that rule. Every single time I get people that just give me pushback on why am I building houses with a one-car garage. And I said, hey, it's the city rules. So the only way I can get around that, obviously, is by coming here today and asking for a variance there. The houses with 2-car garages are well more received from people that want to buy a new house on an infill lot in the city of Des Moines versus a one-car garage. The house values sell for higher with the 2-car garage. And overall, it's just a better house for the city of Des Moines when I can build a house with a 2-car garage versus a 1-car garage. So in the past, I've come in here before and asked for the variance exception from planning and zoning. It's been granted before. I had really good success with these houses, building them, selling them, having them be an asset to the neighborhood, and everything along those lines. They turn out to be really fantastic homes for the city. So with that, I'd like to request for you guys to give me approval for the variance so that I can build these 3 houses here and help out the city with more houses on infill lots. Any questions?
Could you please confirm you're putting in the sidewalk?
Yes, we're going to put in sidewalks.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, sometimes, you know, you guys will give me a variance on that, but this is a priority 1. So with that, we'll just plan on putting sidewalks in all of these, and then all the garage doors will have windows in them.
I lied, I have one more. The rear elevation of the first, I guess it's east or whatever, it looks different than the rear elevation of the other 2 houses, and I'm wondering there, on the lower right, it almost looks like a retaining wall or something. Is that meant to be different?
Well, actually, with all these houses here, it does have a pretty good slope in the back.
Right.
So all of these houses will have a full walkout basement. I do not know if my architect guy did necessarily draw that in these plans.
Right. The other ones have a walkout, and that's why
Yeah.
this one looks so different. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't,
No, all 3 of
they
these
should be
will-
the same.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, all 3 of these will definitely have walkout basements because of the slope of the lot.
Right, okay, thanks.
Anything else?
If there are no further questions from commissioners,
Okay.
make sure you sign in on the white sheet there. Is there anyone here tonight who would like to speak in favor of this item? Okay, seeing none, if you would like to speak in opposition to this item, you may come forward. You have 5 minutes. Please state your name and your address before you begin.
Hello, my name is Nate Valin. My address is 351 East Pleasant View Drive. And Marie and I are here. We live in the neighborhood. And received this notice, and I have a quick question about this site plan. Is this the complete site plan, or is there more to this site plan? My understanding is that the site plan should include a grading plan as well.
But this, we're not at the full permit set. There's still a review process that's going on, but this is also residential. So
Okay.
the
Okay.
information that we see on a residential development is a little different, like, say, a commercial where we have,
Okay. Just for a little background, we live in the neighborhood. We're actually right across the street. And this lot is vacant, obviously. And the owner, he purchased it about a year ago, and it was fully overgrown with trees. And had a large portion of it clear cut. And being across the street, I observed being clear cut. I also observed that the organics were not removed, meaning the stumps were not removed out of the ground. And then it proceeded to fill the area in because it had a steep slope to it. And it proceeded to fill the area in with loose fill. And while it was being filled, there was absolutely no effort to compact this fill. And I did a little research, and here at the Des Moines Permit and Development Center, facts and questions, it says residential grading. Do I need a permit to fill an area on my property for future building pad or to make it more usable? And here it says, any fill or dirt, stone, brick, concrete, soil, or similar material covering a cumulative area larger than 2,500 square feet requires a grading permit. Did a little bit more research into the code, and it's a there's a specific science to filling in an area of this size. You can't just cut the trees down, leave the organics, and dump fill dirt on top of it, and then expect to build on top of it. The code requires that fill be compacted every 12 inches, and it has to meet a specific compaction, which is 90 to 95% compaction rate. And none of this was done, and I don't know why, but I just want to bring it to the zoning boards and the engineers' attention that this is just, it violates not only city code, my understanding is it violates Iowa state statutes, because here it says regarding grading permits, any person who fails to perform an act required by this article or commits an act prohibited by this article, or who resists the enforcement of any section of this article shall be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by a fine as provided in section 1-15 of this code. And that is under the grading requirements. And I could, I've taken a few screenshots here. And along with the site plan, it says a site plan can't be approved unless a grading plan has been submitted as well. And the requirement is that grading plan be submitted by an engineer. And that should be in the site plan. To go on, yes, it says applications for site plan review must be determined to be complete submittal as indicated by the requirements on the site plan review submittal checklist. And number 5
That's,
Okay. Sorry, your 5 minutes is up.
number 5 is grading
But
plan.
I do want to respond just a
Yeah.
little bit. I think what you're reading from is our standards for the, commercial sites and commercial
No,
site plans.
no, sir. No, sir.
Well, some of what you're reading is
No, sir, it's not.
about what a complete submittal is. But where I'm headed, let me finish, is that I'm willing to, the grading permits and all that is handled by our engineering staff. I'm happy to, after, tomorrow, follow up with them to ask them what would apply to this circumstance. But what the board is asked to do tonight is to grant relief specific to the size of the garage. So I'm not.
Well,
trying-
my contention is that you can't go about grading, do this amount of grading without a permit. And so this is not a buildable site. It's absolutely not a buildable site because you can't go back and compact this loose fill after it's already been filled. It has to be compacted every 12 inches, and that's just
And we
industry
can look
standard.
into that, but
Industry
that's,
standard.
grading and plating is not, that's not what, this board isn't charged, they're not
Right.
making a decision on that. I just want to make that.
Well, I understand. I just want to come tonight and make sure that's on record
Okay.
and in the minutes, because this is unacceptable, is what it is. Absolutely unacceptable. So, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you please sign in to the white piece of paper? Thank you.
I'll be following up with the
Yeah, and that's,
inspection department, and if the city allows this, I'll be retaining a lawyer as well, because
Yeah.
this is absolutely unacceptable. And I just for the sake of building a quality building that's going to last and not trying to rip people off.
we're not arguing about your.
I'd really like to see a geotechnical engineer do a survey of this.
We'll pass your concern on to the right people.
All right, well, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I apologize for being a bit upset, but I just find this wholly,
In the
completely unacceptable.
Just in the future, I would also encourage you to call the city directly when you see something that is concerning. This doesn't fall under the purview of this commission, but there are numbers that you can call.
I have one more comment. The developer has an opportunity to respond, and you might want to stay around and hear what he has to say.
Yes, you have 5 minutes for a rebuttal.
If I was building a slab home with no basement, his comments would be valid. That's not the case here. These have basements. These are not going to be built on the land that he's talking about. So it's not exactly relevant, because once we start digging down, we're going to get down below what we brought in for that. Also, once we dig, we do a soil test. The soil test measures the PSI. I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with that, but the soil test we do, once we dig down to get to where our footings are going to be, there's a soil test that measures the PSI. So that right there takes care of everything that he said when we do the soil test. So all of his concerns will be addressed during the normal process of building the house.
Okay. Yes?
Sir? Hi. You were here, yeah, one quick question. You were here before for, to do some infill with your similar house type, correct?
For this particular property?
No, for a different address.
Right.
I'm trying to find it, but the same home type,
Right.
right? And at that time, there were neighbors that complained similarly that you were dumping before you were starting to build, that you were putting dirt there.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay.
No.
What, okay, we'll agree to disagree on that then.
No,
Thank you.
The only thing I could think of is that I did have another property I built where we did do a soil test, and the soil test showed that the dirt was loose, so we had to dig it out and go through the process and compact all that down. I mean, the bottom line is that there are rules already in place to address what he's talking about. So I can't just build a house on loose soil. There has to be a soil test done, and it has to be a certain PSI. And then, I don't know all the rules and everything, but if it's a certain PSI, your footings can be a little bit bigger, but if it's a looser PSI, then you have to dig down and remove all that dirt and either fill it with rock or more compact dirt.
And the removal of all the trees and stuff, you don't need a permit for that? You can just take all
Correct.
those out? Okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, anything else?
I just want to clarify that the review, all the stuff that we're talking about, this is not a review that's done by planning. This is not,
Right.
this is done by our
And I
engineering.
assume there's inspections at various
Yes,
points
and
of the building process.
Engineering and our
Yes.
permit and development center and building
Yep.
code.
I'd like to comment to that, please.
No,
Your
I'm
time's
sorry, your time is up.
Yeah, the matter
Yes.
before the commission.
Okay. I will close the public hearing and open it up to the commission for discussion on this item. Yes,
Move
Johnny?
staff, unless there's additional discussion. I will move staff.
Is there any discussion on this item before we vote staff? Okay. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you. I believe that was everyone. Is that correct? Okay. And are there any committee or directors' reports this evening?
No.
Thank you very much. We are closed.